They live by a philosophy of someday. Someday I will be able to feel the way I want to feel when I meet a certain person, when I achieve a certain income, when I finally get that position in my business, when I finally turn things around, when I'm finally physically fit. Someday when? And that someday never shows up, because then you meet the person and go, yeah, but did I really make the right choice? That really empowers the relationship, right? Or you make the money and then people worry they're going to lose it. Or they achieve the job and then they worry someone else is going to get that position. So someday never comes. So one of the things you've got to do is learn to train your nervous system to feel good. How many find that when you feel good, you're not just happy, but you actually perform better, and you also are better in the way you treat other people as well? How many find that to be true? Say aye. Then I want us to train ourselves like a muscle to feel good, to drill that into our nervous system, because feeling good is a physiology. It's a way of moving. It's a way of breathing, because the way you feel is totally related to the way that you move. Emotion, ladies and gentlemen, is created by motion, right? Emotion is created by motion. The more you move, the more you're going to feel. And people have very limited emotion and have very limited motion in their face and their body, and they're kind of holding everything back. So what you want to do is loosen up and be a little crazy. So one way to do that is not to wait to have the good feelings you want. Because, see, you think when something happens, then you're going to feel good. But who's going to make you feel good when that thing happens? You are. You go, well, when I finally make that money, then I'll feel good. Oh, yeah? How do you know? Well, because I'll decide to feel good at that point. Ha ha. Why not decide now, feel good while you're on the way to doing that? Do both. Why wait, right? Or, another, it's like, people say all the time, they go through a tough situation. They'll, someday we'll look back and laugh at this. Why wait? If you're going to do it someday, might as well look back right now and get it over with, right? Start laughing, have some fun with it. Most of us do not have the privilege of an environment that is surrounded with only outstanding people. And if you were to ask me, Tony, before you tell me anything else, what would be the most important tool to influencing the quality of my life forever above all else? My first hands-down answer was the ability to manage your state, the state of your mind and body during tough times. The capacity to do that is the number one skill that will basically determine your destiny. Because the state you are in will determine your decisions about what to believe and what to feel and what to do. And what you do will create the results of your life known as your destiny, at least the one on earth. So the bottom line is, state is everything. So we're going to learn how to master that. But if I had to give you the number two, it's who you surround yourself with. Who you associate to is who you will become. Because it's so easy to surround ourselves with people who have a lower standard than we have. And the problem with that is, sooner or later, if you're around people and you care about them, you don't want to be judging them, so you lower your standard for them. You can't help but lower the standard for you too when it's somebody you care about. It happens. It's the old adage, you lie down with dogs, you come up with fleas. It sounds terrible, but it's really accurate. I was speaking for the Marines recently, and I'm talking to them, and it was an interesting thing. I went out to Camp Pendleton. There's only 2 places the Marines train. And I got to be with this huge group, a couple thousand of these guys, as well as all of them brand new recruits who just made it through boot camp, and another group of guys that had been on a 9-day wilderness retreat where they don't let them eat for 4 days and they starve them and everything else, but they didn't want them to miss my talk. So they brought them out in full gear with their black and green paint across their faces, their M40s, right, all standing there at attention while I spoke for 4 hours. But I was talking to them about standards because the Marines have helped all of those men and women to raise their standards, and they have a different quality of life within the context of being a Marine. Now, whether that's the quality of life you want is a whole other thing, but that's what they have. They have a higher physical standard, that's for sure. Mental standard, discipline standard than they ever had in their lives before. And a lot of that had to do with being in that environment. I talked to them about how they have to take that environment wherever they go and have a higher standard than the Marines have. They have to have a higher standard when they leave the Marines. And I was talking later on to one of the generals there, and he was talking to me, and he's saying, Tony, what you said was so on the mark. These men have developed pride in themselves because they've made themselves do things that they normally wouldn't have done. But he said, it's definitely been influenced by this environment. And many of them, when they leave this environment, this will have been the peak of their life in terms of how proud they were of themselves and what they accomplished in their life. Many of them will never do. They'll never translate this standard to their daily life when they leave here. he said, why do you think that is? Do you think it's because people don't care, or people are basically lazy, or you have to supervise people, or, he went through all these things. And I said, no. I said, I really think it's that most people's lives are a direct reflection of the expectations of their peer group. What does that mean? Well, your peer group, first of all, is anybody around you that you respect and you give them emotional power, meaning what they think or what they feel affects you. They're your friend, you want them to like you. So at some level, whether you're aware of it consciously or not, it affects you. Maybe it's your family members. I don't know who your peer group is. Maybe it's people at work. But it's the people that you care what they think or feel. Even if you say you don't, we all care at some level, right? Who are those people for you? That's your peer group. And your life will be a direct reflection of the expectations of your peer group. And here's the challenge. What if you have a higher expectation for your life than the people you surround yourself with? Higher expectation for what you want from your life, in terms of your passion or joy or love. Higher expectation of what you want to accomplish. Higher expectation of what you want to feel, or spirituality, or whatever it is. Well, now you have a conflict. Because now what will happen is, if you have a higher expectation than your peer group who really does care about you will pull you down. Not because they're trying to pull you down, because they don't want to lose you. So they'll say, hey, come on, don't be so serious. Don't be working at that all the time. Come on, relax. Geez, what's the matter with you? And they will find ways to undermine what's going on. Not because they don't love you, because they do love you. Because unconsciously they sense, oh my God, you might change, grow, or expand. What would that mean to me? I could get left behind. And most of us want love so much at an unconscious level, if not at a conscious level. We want acceptance so much that through time, gradually, over the years, we lose what our dreams are. We lose our expectations. And what we once thought was a must is kind of a, well, interesting. We don't even think about it anymore. It's not even a should. Or maybe it's a should someday if all comes together. And so I would say to you that you have an opportunity to get a fresh look at your life. This is a crash course in transforming every area of your life that you want to. The value is we're going to create an environmental standard here that's quite extraordinary. We're going to create it together. Mark my words. Whoever you spend time with, you will become. So you better choose real well. Am I saying get rid of your friends? No. Here's the other way you can do it. You can lead. You can have such a high standard that no matter how low the standard is above you or how nice it is, you can take it from good to excellent to outstanding for your friends if they have the desire and if they have enough caring to be with you. But you're going to have to make those choices. It's not the kind of conversation that you hear in a positive thinking kind of environment. I'm not saying go surround yourself with positive people. I'm saying you got to make sure that wherever you are, you at least have some core friends that have a standard that is so high that both of you will grow. It's like if you want to play tennis, you don't play against somebody who's worse than you are on a regular basis and expect to get better. It just doesn't happen. If you got the guts, you play somebody who's better than you are and you work like crazy so you can move up. And maybe you have some people that play at your level too, but you got to play at that game. Raise that standard. If I was going to say, like in 2 words, what this is all about, it's about stepping up, man. And you got to decide to step up or pull back. So you got to take a look and say, okay, what is it that I really want? And I got to make some really conscious choices. And if you make those, you can have more fun you've ever had before. It's not like living a life that's totally disciplined, because discipline never lasts. Because discipline is as painful and you do it anyway. You got to do it anyway in the beginning, but after a while, it becomes natural for you because it's so rewarding to play at this level called outstanding, you won't want to go back. It won't be, I got to discipline myself. It'll be, this is who I am. And that's when things really shift. Tell you a secret. It's so easy to feel good. The only reason you're not is standards. You don't have a standard to feel good all the time because society says that feeling bad, that's natural. Feeling good all the time, you got a problem. Right? Second, you don't believe it. And thirdly, you don't know the strategy consciously. Now here's what you need to understand. Any emotion you're feeling is just a pattern. It's a pattern of how you use your body. It's a pattern of how you use language. And it's a pattern of what you tend to focus on and believe about it. Those 3 patterns make up all your emotions. If you're upset, you're using your body in a certain way. You're saying certain things outside and inside your head in a certain way. And I don't mean this self-talk, positive thinking. I mean certain words trigger you. Like if I say, Michael, you're mistaken. That feels different than if I say, Michael, you are wrong. That's still different than I say, Michael, you are lying. How many can feel the difference between those three? If someone's saying to you, say I. So there are certain words, we're not like being positive, certain words that will fire off your emotion in different ways, different levels. And your belief, what you're certain is going to happen, affects you. So people get in habits again and again, and then they think they're not doing it. They think it just happens because something environment happens and they start doing it. It's just a pattern you learned a long time ago, and you've done it so long, it's ingrained. So there are three patterns, I call it the triad, that everything that you feel are created out of, and whether you do something or not is based on how you feel. For example, faith, determination are triads. They are nothing but a big word, a generalization for three things you're doing when you're determined. Use your body in a certain way when you're determined. You do certain things in your head, what you say to yourself or out loud, and you picture or focus on certain things and believe certain things. When you're fearful, you do something different with your body, something different with your language, something different with what you focus on and believe. How many follow the general thought of this? Say I.